I found a woman. Now this is Solomon. And Solomon is God's messenger at this point in time in the Quranic narrative. And he's being told, in 23, I found a woman, Queen Bilqis, ruling there over them. And she made things available for everyone. And she has a grand and beautiful throne. I found her and her people worshipping the sun besides Allah, besides God. Satan has made their actions appear pleasing to their eyes. And he has kept them away from the straight way. So they receive no guidance. Now I'm going to skip down. And so they do not prostrate themselves before God. God, there is no God but He, Lord of the throne supreme. And Solomon says, soon shall we see if you have told the truth or you are one of the liars. He doesn't know about this information coming to him. And he sends her a correspondence. Go with this letter from me and give it to them. Then wait to see what they answer back. Now she, the queen, receives the letter and says, chiefs, she's consulting with her people, here is a letter delivered to me, a noble letter. It is from Solomon and it is written in the name of God, the most gracious, the most merciful. Do not act proudly with me, but come to me as Muslims in submission to the religion of God. So he's calling her to believe in God. She, the queen, said, chiefs, advise me about this ordeal of mine. No ordeal have I decided without your presence. In 33, they tell her, we are blessed with great strength and used to fierce war, but the power is with you. So think about what you command. They refer it back to her. And this is not a Muslim woman. This is the Quran. And this is one of the things I talked about before. Women submit to God and not to men in Islam because they believe that these kind of proofs, this respect of women, could not have come from a man. This is not a book that could have been written by Muhammad or any other man. Not in the 7th century and not today. This dignity of women and women that aren't even Muslim. And a woman who has political power, and she's seen in the Quran that people respect her so much, her own counsel, that they say, no, you're going to decide. We can't make this kind of decision for you. Now, in the end, Bilqis does accept this surrender to God. And this surrender to God that's called Islam, it's not named after Muhammad, it's not named after anybody. Muslims believe that it always existed, that all the prophets have asked just for surrender to God, and that is Islam. And even though she came before Prophet Muhammad's revelation, she is a Muslim in that she surrendered to God. Now, we see her, these are the steps she takes. She reflects alone, then she calls on her counsel. She listens attentively to their advice. After further pondering, she takes the decision alone. And it's to avoid military confrontation. After that, it comes as no surprise. Later, God's messenger actually meets her. In that encounter, she recognizes the truthfulness of the message. She affirms her faith. So we see a woman of political power, she's given the choice on her own, and we see that she does the right thing. By contrast, an arrogant ruler who refuses to accept the truth in the Quran is portrayed as a man. It's Pharaoh. Pharaoh is undoubtedly the archetype of human arrogance. He will not submit. He says, I am God. I am the highest thing that you know. He's that arrogant. So he's morally and spiritually blind. He won't accept the message. And in spite of words preached to him and the miracles shown to him of God's messenger in his time, which was Moses, he chooses the path to destruction. Now, another incredible narrative in the Quran is the mother of Moses. Now, I think I will end with this because I'm running a little bit behind time. The mother of Moses is a narrative in many places in the Quran, but we're looking at chapter 28, verses 7 to 13 right now. And I think this is also helpful to read them. And we sent this inspiration to Moses' mother. Nurse the baby, but when you have fears for him, put him into the river in a basket. But do not fear or feel sad for him. Verily, we shall bring him back to you, and we shall make him one of our messengers. Then the household of Pharaoh lifted him up from the river. It was that baby Moses would be an opponent and a reason of sorrow for them. Verily, Pharaoh and others, Haman and their armies, were men of sin. And Pharaoh's wife said, He is a comfort and joy of the eye for me and you. Don't kill him. It could be that he will be of use to us, or we may adopt him as a son. And they did not foresee what they were doing. And there came an emptiness in the heart of the mother of Moses. She was almost going to tell his story and her loss if we had not strengthened her heart with faith, so that she may remain a true believer. And she said to Moses' sister, "Follow him floating on the river." So the sister watched him from a distant place as a stranger, and they, the Egyptians, did not know. And we commanded that he refused to nurse at first, until the sister said to them, "Shall I point to you a people of a house who will feed and raise him for you and be truly attached to him?" And now 13, like this we brought him back to his mother, so that her eye might be comforted, and that she might not feel sad, and that she might know that the promise of God is true. But most of them do not understand. Now again, as with Adam and Eve, we have the same story. But there's a critical key difference. There's an element here that's very subtle. And it's Moses' mother's emotions and her feelings and her sacrifice. Now, she would have committed suicide, we're told, from the sorrow after she did this. She did this. What have I done? My baby is in a river. What will become of him? This is the end. From the perspective of Moses' mission, right, this is totally unnecessary. This part of the story doesn't change anything because he's been saved. He goes to Pharaoh's house. He's raised to manhood. This doesn't matter. So, again, let's reread 13. Like this, we brought him back to his mother, so that her eye might be comforted, and that she might not feel sad, and that she might know that the promise of God is true. But most of them do not understand. Now, it's said that he is brought back to her for the comfort and love of his mother. It's not for his mission. This doesn't change his mission at all. It's not for him. Right? It's because her eyes should be soothed. Her heart should be comforted. Now, people who think again that Muhammad could have authored this book, there is no way. None of us today would write the story of Moses and think of that perspective of his mother. No one would do this. Indeed, it's not even necessary for the story to unfold at all. But it's another proof that this is a revelation from God. This is divinely revealed. And it's God's honoring of women that has been transmitted in the final revelation to mankind in Islam. So this is the divine perspective of love. And what is it? The end, the goal of all this is the Israelites escaping from Egypt. So their exodus is Moses' mission. Now we use the phrase, the ends justify the means, right? Did I say it right? I think the means justify the ends. I was mixing up. The means justify the ends. What does this mean? It's a human construct. It's a human construction. It's not a divine construction, because if it was, then Moses' mother has to go through a painful separation from him, and we would say, "I'm sorry, we're sorry, Moses' mother. The means justify the ends. We have to do it, get on with it. We know it's hard. Too bad for you." Right? Because the means justify the ends. But actually, God in Islam is telling us that the maternal love and happiness cannot be sacrificed. The feelings of a woman and the worth of a mother are so great that they will not be satisfied for the story. And God, in His plan, can make them both work out, and does, that this is a priority. This, in turn, teaches us a great deal about the love and mercy of God. The love and mercy of God in caring for a woman, caring for an individual, and all of us in this, doesn't mean that in the big picture, that is lost sight of. And this is the understanding and the love for God that women have in Islam, and that they believe that they are acting upon a submission to Him because He loves them and has empowered them. Now, the Egyptian Queen Cleopatra is also interesting. In the Western tradition, we know her from Shakespeare stories and movies, and she is, again, a seductress, a temptress of men. She'll do anything to save her country. She'll love Mark Antony and Caesar, anything she has to do. And it's incredible that she's defined solely by her sexuality. That's what we know about her. Muslims entered Egypt in the 640s, and they encountered this as a historical figure, who is Cleopatra. And what they wrote about her shows this understanding of women. They wrote, she is a writer and a thinker. She must have been a great scholar, because they found treatises from her about alchemy, mathematics, sciences, gynecology, So their take on her was not a promiscuous woman, not someone just defined by sexuality, but so much more.